It is October 16, and it's my pleasure to have JP back on Exopolitics today.
How you doing, Doc? It's a pleasure to be here and to bring you this beautiful information.
Well, JP, just for people that maybe need to be updated, you have, as of August 30, you are retired U.S. Army. So what's it like being a retired Army serviceman?
It's a beautiful experience, Doc. You get to meet other people that served, and they're allowed to talk, more than when you are active duty. Some things you still can't talk about because of the, procedures and all that and everything that you sign. But you get to know other people from different timelines in the military. So that's interesting with me. When I say different timeline, when you go to the Veterans Affair, you see people of all ages that served in different times. So when you talk about your experience to some of these guys, they tell you their experiences. And then that's when you know how everything started advancing. So it's quite interesting.
Right. And of course, you're wearing a helmet, so you need to keep your identity secret for some time. So you want to just recapitulate why it's necessary to keep your identity a secret for now.
It's a protection for my family, and if I get future offers dealing with, you know, um, the DoD or other agencies, it's for me to stay protected. Um, if I do something else other than what I'm doing now.
Right. And of course, just over 2 weeks ago, you appeared on stage at the GSIC conference in Westminster, Colorado. So how did it feel being in front of the general public? And there were over 1,000 people there.
It was a beautiful energy, so much love, so much people. It was an experience that I would never change. I cannot comprehend how much love can fit in one room, Doc. So when I started walking down the aisle and I saw everybody looking at me and I saw even tears, I even started tearing up inside the helmet because it was so much love. I felt like I was entering the art in a way because everybody was showing so much love, and the way we brought out the information also as well. I felt like I'd done it a couple times instead of being my first time. So I got a lot of good feedback on how we brought this information out, that last update about Saturn.
It was a wonderful experience to witness that, and definitely, as you said, there was a lot of love and a lot of support for you and your courage and everything you've done over the last few years to enlighten people.
Amazing, amazing. It was a beautiful experience, Doc. I would never change it.
So why don't you tell us about what recently happened? What's the new update you have for people?
So they told me to go to the base, and I did not know why. And I even sent you a text message. I think it was the 10th in the morning, like at 9:20 around there. I sent you a message saying, "Hey, they called me to go to the base. I don't know why." Um, I think we had a little problem going into Fort Carson. I remember that, but because of the security and all that, we did not go in. We kept it safe, so we left. So, I was proud that they didn't talk to me about that. But when I entered the base, there was a car waiting for me, a black car, and this car was parked on the side. So a hand came out and it went like this. So I drove next to it, and I looked at the guy said to me, "Follow me." And I'm like, "Okay." So he drove off, and I went behind him, and we went to a part of the base that I'd never been into. Like the location, I'd never been to it. So we went to a parking lot, and then in the parking lot, there was a building, like a brownish, rusted building, the square building. I think the size of the building was probably 50 yards long. So it's a good size uh, building, and it's tall. It was like probably 3 stories tall. And he said, "Oh, let me see your ID." So I gave him my ID, and he was asking like questions. Oh, when did you retire? How was Colorado? Asking me like random questions and all that while I was following him into this building. So we entered to this building, and there was 2 security guards in this building, and they looked at me like really, really like mad. These security guards, their faces were like mad. They were like pissed off. And the guy gave them my ID. They put my ID in the box and they put it away. I had my keys with me. They told me, "Oh, give me your keys." So they took my keys. Uh, one of the security guards took my keys, and I saw him going back outside. And I think they were going to check my car or move my car somewhere else. So I felt kind of uncomfortable for that when he took the keys of my car and went outside to the parking lot, maybe to check out if there's anything, any weapons or anything like that, or any devices, that can connect me to the car via Bluetooth and information can come out. So they searched me. They did a search on me. Like if we were in the airport, the process of taking off your shoes, the process of putting your stuff in the belt, taking off my belt, taking off even my shirt. They made me take off my shirt to enter into this type of facility. And when I entered, there were 2 double doors, and when I entered, there was like 6 more soldiers. They were lined up, and they were all like my age. There was an older guy. I think it was a senior, probably officer, but they were all quiet. Everybody was quiet, but there was an older guy there. He was in the front of the line, so I was the only one that was talkative. I was asking, "Hey, do you know why we're here?" And the guy that's in front of me, he just looks back to me and then looks forward. I'm like, okay, nobody wants to talk. So I asked the guards, and he's like, "Hey, just shut the F up." So I'm like, okay, I just want to know why I'm here. And he's like, "Hey, just be quiet. Don't worry about it. It's good for you." I'm like, "Good for me?" I'm like, okay. So they kept calling people up by numbers. So they gave me a number. My number was 35. And, I had the number with me. Similar to what they do in the VA. You have a number and you wait for your name to be called and you go to where they want you to go. So I waited probably like 40 minutes, but I did not see those guys come back out. So when they were calling guys in, they were keeping them in there. So they called my name and they said, date of birth. I'm like, okay, 4/20/85. Social, DOD ID number. And I'm like, okay, give you all that. Okay. Let me see your hands. I put my hands like this. They give me like a stamp on my hand. And the stamp had 3 stars. And it had like a triangle shape under the 3 stars. And I look at it and they said, okay, follow this other guy. So it was a doctor He was dressed in white, and he had a mask on. He had glass also. He had gloves, so I couldn't see. His body shape was different. It wasn't like it was really he was really skinny. So it was more like a bonish somebody that hasn't ate for a long time. And he had a low voice. He's like, follow me to this room and just wait in this room, and we're gonna get your blood pressure and gonna take a little bit of blood, and we go from there. So I sat in the room. The room looked like a regular hospital room. I sat down. They a nurse came. She took out my blood. And she took out like 3 pints. A lot of blood.
Could you repeat that? 3 pints or 3 pints of blood?
The size of this size. I don't know how much would that be. That would be
Okay, it's a lot less than a pint.
okay. So it's not a pint. What's that size?
Like a test tube size?
Test tubes. Yeah, test tube size.
Okay.
And she took out my blood, and she went to this machine that turns the blood around. She put these tubes there, so she was doing the study like right in front of me. And it came out that the blood, she was like kind of like confused with my blood. So she took out more blood for me. And I was like, okay, you're going to take out more blood. So she kept taking more blood. So she called the doctor in, and she's like, talking to him. And then he was like, he moved his head sideways, and he started taking out blood. And I'm like, crap, they're taking out a lot of blood. And I was feeling dizzy, and I told the doctor, hey, I'm feeling a little bit dizzy. Can you guys do something? I'm feeling really, really dizzy. You guys are taking out too much blood. And I got to the point that I was almost blacking out by how much blood they were taking out from me. So he's like, okay, you need to come with me now. So they took out so much blood that I couldn't walk. I was so dizzy. They got me in a wheelchair, and they took me to this other room, and they put me into this room. When I saw this room, I saw a lot of like 15 tubes of, they look like beds. 15 tubes of these beautiful marble looking beds. And I saw that 2 of them was open. But when I was getting close, I probably blacked out, Doc. I think I did black out, because when I opened up my eyes, my whole body was in this tube. And I was looking up, and I couldn't move my body. My body was locked into this bed.
Was this tube like a hyperbaric oxygen chamber?
It looked similar to it, but it wasn't like it. It was more like it looked like where sarcophagus?
A sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus? It looked similar to that. And I'm like, wow, what is this? So when I opened my eyes, what I felt was my whole body was vibrating, right? So it looked like it was giving out a frequency into my body. But I noticed that certain areas that I got hurt before was vibrating more than other areas. So if say your right meniscus of your knee was injured and it was messed up, that part vibrates more than the other part of your extremity. So anywhere that you got hurt, your bone, muscle, anything vibrates more. And you can feel like a heat vibrating that particular part of uh, you know, of the body. So I felt heat in my chest. I felt heat in my lower back. I felt heat in my right knee. I felt heat in my back part of my head, and my whole body was vibrating. It was like you can hear like a humming sound, like a frequency coming out from this bed. And I could not talk. I tried to talk, but my body was like wasn't moving. The only thing I could move was my eyes, but I could not move my head. I tried to move my head, and I could not move my head. So the only thing was my eyes, and I can look slightly down, and my feet had like cables connected to the bottom part of my feet, and I felt like an electricity coming in through the bottom part of my feet, like pulses of electricity, and it was tickling me, but in a way, it was feeling good because it was coming up to my legs and coming out to my lower back, to my arms. I kind of felt the same thing with my hands. There was something connected to my hands, and I couldn't grab it. I couldn't move my fingers or nothing, but I felt like that electricity coming in. But the whole thing was vibrating. And in my mind, I was like, what's happening? I feel good. My body feels awesome. So I closed my eyes. I don't know how long I was there for. It was a beautiful, beautiful sensation. I opened my eyes. They opened the capsule type of bed. So it looks like an oval, all right? It's like an oval looking bed, and then it has like a glass that goes over it, and the glass is like super thick, right? So I think it's like a crystal type of glass, and the bottom part is made like a marble type of substance. Like it's like squishy. Like you can do like this to the wall of, and it went in a little bit. So when they opened that, I could move my whole body, and I got out. And when I grabbed it, my hands squished into the to the to the bed. So I was like, wow, it's like a gel substance. So I think this gel substance that you lay down in, I think electricity runs better, or the frequency runs better through the gel substance, and takes care of your whole body. So when you're laying down, you're like locked into this gel feel like bed. And I felt like I was in my 20s again, back when I woke up from this bed. The doctor opened up and said, huh?
Now, you mentioned when you got into that bed that you felt electricity or heat going to those different areas, like your chest, your knee, the lower back, the back of your head. Are those areas where you've suffered problems or had injuries?
Yes. Those are areas that I suffered injuries.
Okay, so whatever was going on, it was going directly for those areas that you'd suffered injuries in the past, and other parts of your body were fine.
Yes. And you can feel like a burning sensation to those areas. Like, if you ever put Vicks on your skin, that Vicks sensation?
Oh yeah, yeah, Vicks vapor rub. Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, like a vapor rub sensation, but it's like more vibration, more intense. So,
Interesting. Okay.
and now I felt in my lungs like a beautiful sense of air, sense of air, and it was my lungs was feeling good. That you know, I was feeling like I was 20 years old. So they took me out, and I looked back, and I saw all these capsules close. So they had other soldiers in there doing the same process. And I asked to the doctor, I said, "Hey, what is this?" He's like, "It's a device that heals you." And I said, "Is this like a med bed?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, this is like a med bed, but depending on what you did, it's what we put on the bed to heal you. So this has the capability of healing a lot of different things." Yes.
That's interesting. Have you ever seen anything like that before during your service?
Never. I never saw something like that before in my service.
Okay. And what they did initially with your blood, was that so that they could diagnose you, so that they would know what areas of your body needed attention?
I think so. I think so. I think with the blood, he was explaining that it goes back to like 20 generations, something like that. And it can heal, like, say, if fourth or fifth generation back, somebody in your family had something, it can also heal and lock that DNA of not happening again to my future offsprings.
Okay. And you saw like 20, 25 of these kind of beds, these
Yeah,
med beds lined up?
like 15 of them. I see. I know that there's probably more of these med beds.
And did they look new? Did it look like this was a kind of newly built kind of room with all those beds, or was it something that looked like it'd been there for a long time?
It looked new. It looked new. The area was clean. See, the building itself looks like old, but inside this facility, everything looks high tech and new.
Okay, all right. So this could be part of the rollout of the med beds that a lot of people have been talking about, that were secretly built by the Earth Alliance, Space Command, and that they're starting to use those on veterans.
Yeah, yeah. On certain people that have gone through different types of missions. So they check. I think they check your blood also to see who else been through experiences in your family. I don't know how the heck they can check that out, but they can check the history of your people that lived before you.
So today is Tuesday. So when was it that you actually went into that facility? What day was that?
I called you the 10th, I think it was, in the morning,
Okay,
but I was heading into the base.
so we're talking probably Thursday of last week. Okay, so that's Thursday. So today's Tuesday. So it's been 4 days. So in the 4 days, do you still feel like young and strong, healthy? I mean, how do you feel?
I still have like a cough from whatever was going inside my lungs, but I feel like, well, when they took me out, they put connections on me and they made me run, and I could do 12, almost 13 minutes, 2 miles.
Okay, and of course, this is kind of like only I don't know, a couple of hours or so after they had extracted a lot of blood that made you kind of like collapse.
Yes, I
So
had
so
all
what
my
if
blood. I felt good, like if I had everything back, my whole blood, my My knees was not hurting. My when I ran, my heart was not giving me that problem that I was getting. So they told me that they were going to follow up on me in 2 weeks. They were going to call me back and do more studies on me. So I don't know if this is a continuously type of treatment. I don't know if I'm going to hit the med bed again. But I think it's like for me, I believe it's like a one thing, a one type of thing. Yeah.
Well, that would be very interesting that this is how they're going to roll out the med beds, using it first on veterans, because there's a lot of veterans who are very sick and have all sorts of injuries. And it would be a logical community to start with because, they can keep a secret. And
Yeah.
and that you can start rolling it out. And then at some point in the future, it'll be available for the general public.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be available to the general public, and this would be awesome. But I think I don't know what route they're going to roll this out. If it's going to be free or if it's going to depend on. I hope it would be free for everybody to use. Or what my understanding is, they're using it now for the people that have been going through projects. I guess they don't want to get in trouble with all these veterans coming out with these experiences and them looking like shit. So they're calling I think a veteran that has been going through experiences or have been going through these types of missions and putting them through these med beds.
So did the doctor say anything more to you other than it was just a med bed?
He said it can heal a lot of things. That's all he told me. He didn't tell me as much information that I wanted to hear. But I left it as it is because in these places you can't ask a lot of questions.
I see.
You just do what they tell you to do. Even though, I'm out. But when they call you in and the security is the way it is, a soldier is always a soldier. You just follow what it is.
Right. Well, when you were active duty, I mean, you were serving with the army, but then when you were called away to do these missions were with a different service than the army, and so yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it really doesn't matter whether you're active duty or retired, because when you're on the missions, you got to go through whatever security protocols they have.
Yeah, you do. And you're still in the base. So in the base, things are different. It's not like the civilian sector. So once you enter the base, you're in their domain. So you do have to follow the regulations and rules of the base.
I see. So after the doctor told you what he had to say, what happened after that?
Yeah, they took me to this room and they made me run. And after that, they told me, hey, put on all your clothes. And they came back with uh they took out more blood. They sit down and say, are you serious? He's like, yeah, don't worry, but you got enough blood now. So we're just gonna take one more, blood sample and you're good to go. So they checked after I ran, they checked my blood. They told me my oxygen levels are back to normal. Like if I was like 20, my 20s or 20-year old. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I felt good when I got out. They told me not to drink no painkillers, nothing that thins my blood for like 3 weeks. No aspirin, no nothing like that. They told me not to drink also, nothing that thins your blood. They told me also to run every morning to get your levels up. And that in 2 weeks that they were going to call me back to check me again and do blood work and all that.
Okay, great. Well, definitely look forward to hearing what happens over the next 2 weeks and how you feel, and then what happens if and when you do a follow-up.
I feel like $1,000,000, Doc.
Okay.
$1,000,000.
Okay.
I never
All right.
felt so good before. You know, I think this is going to roll out depending what administration comes in.
I see. So something is being rolled out, and you're part of that initial wave to test it. Probably MedBeds, using veterans to test them, roll them out, and then we'll see what happens after the election.
Sure. Yeah. It's going to be an amazing election.
Okay, great. Well, unless you have anything more to say, we can talk about some new development concerning you. So, any final words you want to say about this particular mission?
I want people to understand that I know there's a lot of people that are feeling sick, a lot of people with different types of diseases. I know that for them to not worry, sooner or later these things will come out and people will use them and people will get better.
Great. All right. Well, let's go to this new development, this announcement concerning you creating a Patreon channel, which is a great way for people to hear about you talking about the missions that we discussed that were released in the 3 volumes of US Army Insider Missions. And so you want to tell people, what they can expect if they join Patreon, and what you're going to share with them in these kinds of little mission updates to what you've done in the past.
So on the books that you wrote, Doc, the 3 books, I'm going to choose a chapter from each and one of those books, and I'm going to talk about more details. And also, that's for Tier 1. For Tier 1, anybody that joins, I'm going to talk about more about my experiences and put out motivational videos. And what this is helping me to do is giving me more time to give out this information and put the projects that I have in mind to start working on these types of projects that I think will help people out a lot.
Wonderful. And I think you're also going to do a Q&A for people as well, that you have a tier where people will ask questions and you can address those, and you're going to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I put my email there. My second tier is jp.missionofficial@hotmail.com. And right there, you can ask me a questions, and I'll choose 5 questions and I'll answer them through a video on Patreon for those people that ask me the questions. I already got a couple questions that I'm working on, so it's going to be exciting.
Perfect.
It's going to be good.
Yeah,
and, and it's an area also that you connect with me better in a certain way.
Great. Well, that's important. I hope people support you by joining your Patreon channel and subscribing to your different tiers there, Tier 1, Tier 2. That's so. What is the address, or what is your Patreon channel name?
I haven't got it now here, but I can send you the link and we could put it down there in the comments.
Okay, great. Well, yep, definitely this is a wonderful way to support JP and help him with his future projects and get more information out. Well, JP, this has been a really very informative session. I think you're going to give people a lot of hope for the future, that finally all the talk about MedBeds, that we are seeing the first signs of that they're starting to use those on veterans, people who've been in these covert missions, and from there we can expect it to roll out to more and more of the public.
And I'm sure there's other people coming out with types of MedBeds using the similar technology. Other countries are pushing out other types of MedBeds, but what I know, this one that the United States have is a good one. It's a really good one.
All right. Well, thank you, JP. Any final words?
JP out. I love you guys, and keep safe, always think positive, always share the love, the truth, and never give up. Never give up on your purpose on earth.
Thank you, JP.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.